Welcome to segment 2 with Diana Feinstein of MaxPact Health. If you're in perimenopause, menopause, or you're a partner of somebody who's in that phase of life, there is so much untapped potential that you can access. But Diana knows those tips, tricks, and hacks. It's something that she specializes in as a financial analyst who naturally knows how to leverage ROI to achieve the best results. So with that, I am delighted to talk with Diana about your evolution now. So last time, Diana, we were starting to talk about intergenerational wealth as it relates to health.
Yeah.
And you were sharing a story about your family and what it means to you.
Right.
And I'd love to pick up on that as a bridge, almost like from one generation to the next, as a bridge from one topic to the next.
Right.
So let's pick up on the piece about passing generational wealth onto your family and what it means to you.
So generational wealth, there's financial, there's health, and then there's emotional in my mind. And so the way that I really focus a lot on emotional literacy, the concept of like boundaries, what's mine versus like what's yours, and being able to like understand what goes on in our internal world, being able to notice and name. You get frustrated. For example, we have a lot of these like automatic responses. When I get frustrated, I lash out. But what if you were actually able to pause and say, I have feelings of frustration? What is that actually a signpost of like what your underlying needs are, instead of lashing out onto somebody else? I have feelings of frustration because I wasn't heard. How do I get that need to be heard? And that person that's on the other side of you, they may not have the capability of holding space to hear you because they're dealing with their own stuff. And so being able to like navigate those experiences, those emotions, and those situations, I really do believe is going to lead to like a better world. So when you understand that an emotion is really just a signpost and not an end post of like what your deeper values are, you can try to get those needs met. When people don't have that emotional literacy, you can't rely on them to meet that need. And that's often where like the triggers, start coming out. And, one of the things that I've really been working on is something called nervous system regulation. And so the safer you actually feel in your own body, that like taking yourself out of that fight or flight response, the better resourced you are to actually meet the needs of like your own kids. The better you are to like meet the needs of like both you and your spouse, of which your children are watching, right?
And they're always watching.
And they are always watching. And if they're not met for a lot of people, we'll try and short circuit it through Netflix and Amazon shopping and, binge eating, whatever it is. It's just a way to like get back into the body. That's all it is. So by finding like alternative routes for that, we're going to have like a better way of being with one another.
And this is why I love you, because you're looking at everything from a 360 perspective. It's a bit psychology, marriage counseling, health, sleep, sex. I mean, it's so many different things.
Right.
Do you have a way that you prioritize these different areas? I know you work with high performing individuals, so on a certain level, they need to have their act together before they can even come to you.
That's right. So I look at it from a triage perspective, and then I look at it from like a greatest return perspective. This is where they currently are when they come into my door, and this is where they want to be. And so like in that gap analysis is like, well, how do we actually walk from there to here? I need to lose 30 pounds. I need to manage my cholesterol. I need to, insert whatever health goal. And so I know that there's some information that's missing. And so first you have to educate them. Once you educate them, then you have to actually get them to execute on that education. For them to have the transformation that they're looking for, they have to execute consistently, so that it gets them from where they are to like where they need to be. And so I look for, return, low lift, high impact. And in that delta, what is the low lift, high impact of where they need to put their time, energy, and attention? Average attention span in the United States is about 8 seconds. And so for, some people that I work with, the best use of the 3 minutes that they have, because we try to fit this program into the margins of their life, is actually taking out their phone and putting an Instacart order in. That is the best use of their time, because that actually sets them up for success. Sometimes it's pre-deciding that they are going to order, from this one specific restaurant for lunch, as opposed to whatever their, previous DoorDash order was. We're just trying to get a little bit better every single day, so that when you create strategic effort, you create ease down the road. And when you create those scaffoldings for people, like up front, then you don't have to sit there firefighting in the moment, like fighting yourself with like willpower and motivation. Oh my God, don't eat the chocolate. It's like, no, I'm actually just trying to build a dam before it breaks by plugging it up.
Absolutely. So you have those systems in place. Your kids are watching. You're building intergenerational wealth by demonstrating these habits that are passed on to your kids and that they will pass on to theirs. But what else? When you're working with couples, for example, is that more difficult than working with an individual? How do you approach that?
Yeah. So I look at couples as like individual people. And, they'll come to me with each one of like, their health goals. And I look at like where the overlap is. So they will always have dinner together. The husband is the one that's responsible for making breakfast. And so like their program may just overlap where it is that they like come together. I don't know, they may be stressed, for example. And so like one of the greatest stories that I had was it was a couple that actually that brought their daughter up to college, and the daughter had a meltdown. They actually started box breathing with her to like bring down her anxiety.
And can you demonstrate what box breathing is for those who don't know?
So we're ready? Okay, so we're going to close our eyes. Now we're going to inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Now that technique is used by the Navy SEALs as part of their standard operating procedures. If it's good enough for a Navy SEAL in hand-to-hand combat with Al-Qaeda, is it good enough for us normies here that are going through day-to-day life? That sends like SOS signals as like feelings of safety for us to like better regulate.
I feel calmer.
Yeah, right? So this is like nervous system regulation at its core. The more resourced you feel, given the demands at your life, the more you're going to spiral into creativity. If you have more demands than you are resourced, you're going to spiral into reactivity. So I want you to think of it kind of like a sturdy pilot. You're like driving the plane. Credit goes to Dr. Becky, right? So there are two parts of our brain. There is the prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking part of our brain. And then there's the amygdala region, which is the reactive part of our brain. When our demands are greater than our resources, that sturdy pilot actually comes offline. And so the really cranky passengers that are running around with scissors, they're the ones that drive the bus. You ever have those days where you just like are in full on rage and you can't, it's just everything is just completely crazy?
Yeah, I have to stay quiet because if I don't, I know what's going to come out.
Right. So it's an invitation to like actually resource yourself to pause and to breathe into the moment so that you can actually better resource. Like us regulating ourselves, physically and emotionally, like that's one of the greatest gifts that we can give society.
Absolutely. And now let's get into a little bit of the spicy topics, which is the intimacy.
Okay.
Now, how does intimacy become impacted during menopause?
Oh, I love this question. So because of a drop in estrogen, it actually produces like vaginal dryness. It causes a, decrease in libido. If you're not feeling very sexual and, you're not feeling great in your body and your vagina is dry all at the same time, you're not going to want to have sex, right? So this is really where conversations, the relationships that you have with your healthcare provider, which I would recommend, having an OBGYN that is menopause informed to have the appropriate HRT conversation to pick up where estrogen is falling down.
And what does HRT stand for?
So hormone replacement therapy, also known as menopause replacement therapy or MRT. A menopause informed healthcare provider, you can actually find other solutions, whether it's like vaginal cream or patches or oral ways to actually support a lot of those hormonal productions. Another way, like some more topical creams or let's say like lubricants, so that it doesn't become painful. Like painful sex is a real thing during menopause, and a lot of women feel shame for like not being able to speak out loud about it. But when you reduce the shame and you reduce the isolation, we can actually have a conversation about it.
And that's what it's all about, right? Just opening the conversation so that the shame is gone and you can manage the issue, whatever it is.
Right. What if menopause were an invitation to like actually tap into your superpower, right? I really do believe that every single one of us were put on this earth for a reason. And what if it were an invitation to finally look at it, right? What if this like next chapter of your life or to like actually find like what lights you up and like have the lifestyle practices that support that and embody that and actually like move you through that. What if that were an invitation to find it?
I love that. Because you've worked with individuals who perform better with you now in menopause than they did at the prime of their life when they
100%.
had more energy and more bandwidth.
That's right.
Why is that?
Because they're finally meeting their needs and like their lifestyle practices, they support who they are becoming, right? Like they have this vision for themselves, and when they feel better, they do better. And so this is really about feeling your way back to yourself. And then that in and of itself becomes an addiction loop.
I love that. Feeling your way back to yourself, because sometimes we don't look at ourselves until we have to. And menopause is one of those times where we have to.
Right.
And it's an opportunity, like you said. Can you say it again?
It's our way to feel ourselves back to ourselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana. You've got me thinking in so many different ways. I'm so inspired every time I talk to you. And will you come back on the show?
I would love to. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And that concludes part 2 of this unique series with Diana Feinstein on Evolution Now. Stick around next week when we talk to Daniel Lakend, filmmaker and television producer, on Evolution Now.